We learned about white box testing in the previous topic. In white box testing, we are testing the internal structures of the application. Now, unit testing and integration testing are two types of white box testing. Now, let's take unit testing first. Okay, before that, let's take an analogy maybe. Okay. Suppose we are going to make a Bluetooth speaker. Okay. So, how do we assemble a Bluetooth speaker? We need to have some components, right? There has to be some speakers, some rechargeable battery, and circuit board with amplifier, Bluetooth connectivity, and all, right? So we connect everything together. We put it inside a box. You screw it, fix everything, and then give it to someone to use, right? What happens? When somebody tries to, listen to some music, may not work, right? Then they will come to you saying, hey, this is not working, right? We don't want that to happen. So testing is important. Whenever you make something, you have to test it, right? So once you assemble everything together, and fixed a case, or everything is there in the box, you fixed everything, right? And then you test it, then what happens? Come on, it's not working. So what do you have to do? You have to open the box, right? You have to open it and then find out where the issue is. Maybe you have to disconnect the pieces and check each of the component, right? In order to find the issue. So if that is the case, why can't you do that earlier, right? Because otherwise you are wasting more time. You have to, open the box, detach the items, and then test it again, right? So this is what happens in the industry. In order to save the time, you have to test the individual components first. Okay. So the concept of unit testing is testing each unit individually. That is unit testing. So in this case, which are the possible smallest units? Speaker is a unit. You can test it individually, right? You take speaker and ensure that you test and ensure that it is working fine. Then you take the rechargeable battery and you can test it. You can also test the circuit board. So once you test each individual unit, then you can go ahead, integrating it, right? So testing each possible smallest unit is called unit testing. In the software scenario, when the developer writes code, whenever the smallest part is ready, they test it. This is called unit testing. So unit in software term is the smallest testable portion of the code. Okay, so when a unit is ready, when a unit is coded, the developers usually write some test code for testing it. Okay, so this is called unit test. When executing the unit test, your actual application code is tested. Okay. So now each unit is tested. The next thing is integration testing. Now come back to our Bluetooth example. Okay. In the Bluetooth speaker, you have tested each units and you ensure that everything is working. Now what happens? Now you start integrating the units, right? You will integrate maybe the rechargeable battery with your circuit board. So if an LED on the board is glowing, you can say that, oh, the integration is working fine, right? Then you will integrate the speaker, right? And then again you will test, right? Before fixing everything in the case, in the box, again you test, right? And if you are satisfied, then you will put everything in the box and finally fix it. So likewise in the software as well, once the units are individually tested, you integrate the components together. You integrate two units together and then check whether they are working fine, then integrate with another unit. So likewise, a group of units are integrated and then tested. So that is called integration testing. For integration testing as well, developers write some code. Those are called integration tests. That code is executed and that's how the integration testing is done. Okay, so these are done by unit testing and integration testing are done by developers and they are part of white box testing techniques.